Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Claudia Webbe.
Thank you, Mr. Stringer, and it's a pleasure to serve under your chairmanship. I would like to begin by congratulating the Honourable Member for Linlithgow and East Falkirk for securing this important debate. This government has repeatedly asked, and even today the Honourable Member for Bishop Auckland asked again today for the public to blindly trust, despite mounting evidence to the contrary, their promise that the NHS is not for sale in any future trade deals with the US. They have repeatedly been provided opportunities to put these fears to bed, with amendments tabled to the government's post-Brexit trade deal explicitly stating that the NHS would be excluded from any future trade agreements. This proposal was supported by more than 400 doctors and health professionals, yet rather than deliver on their promise, not a single Conservative MP voted for the amendment, which was defeated by 89 votes. The government claimed farcically that they voted against the amendment because it legitimises the concept of NHS privatisation, which, in the realms of hypotheticals and metaphysics, they claim to oppose. Yet when faced with a concrete opportunity to enshrine in law the safety of our most treasured public institution, the government sat on their hands. Now our NHS will be at the mercy of US negotiators who are heavily influenced by the multi-billion dollar private healthcare interest in carving up our health service for corporate gain. This clearly demonstrates the government's commitment to ensure that the NHS is on the table during trade negotiations. Yet there is an even clearer reason why we cannot trust them or the words of the Honourable Member for Bishop Auckland, and when they say that the NHS is not for sale. And that is because they have already been selling it off piece by piece for the best part of a decade. Since the disastrous 2012 Health and Social Care Act, NHS outsourcing and privatisation has been incentivised. Clinical commissioning groups are under pressure to outsource, and in 2015, private firms won 40% of all contracts. In the last 5 years alone, private companies were handed 15 billion worth of NHS contracts. 18% of healthcare bids now go to private providers. It is true that the NHS logo remains, and in some cases is even co-opted by private providers, such as with the disastrous so-called NHS Test and Trace, which is predominantly run by Serco. Yet the direction of travel under this government has been towards a fragmented, underfunded and increasingly privatised healthcare system. The dangers of sliding towards a US-style private insurance healthcare system cannot be overstated. Research by the Commonwealth Fund in 2018 found that nearly half of working-age Americans, a staggering 87 million people, were either underinsured or had no coverage at all. Rather than spending money on doctors, nurses, mental health professionals, dentists and other professionals who would provide services to people and improve their lives, the US wastes hundreds of billions of dollars a year on profiteering. Huge executive compensation packages and outrageous administrative costs. Despite widespread myths regarding the efficiency of the free market, the US state spends nearly double what we spend on healthcare for generally worse healthcare results. Yet this is the system that recently appointed advisors to the Secretary of State for International Trade believe is superior to our own. It is common sense that in services essential to human life, profiteering and corporate greed should be off limits. This is reflected in public polling, which shows that 84% of Britons believe the NHS should be in public ownership. The NHS is a gleaming beacon of human achievement, of embodiment of socialist universal principles in which everyone, no matter their position in society, benefits equally. It is therefore up to all of us, up to all of us who value healthcare as a human right to protect our most treasured public institution. And it is incumbent on this government to make their rhetoric a reality and legislate to ensure that our NHS is truly off the table and is never put up for sale. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.